Good evening and a happy St. Patrick's Day from Greg Mitchell Field inside Volney C. Ashford Stadium, where the Viking Sports Network brings you Missouri Valley College women's lacrosse. It is the Missouri Valley College Vikings today hosting the Rockhurst Hawks out of Kansas City. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chaz Meddy alongside Taylor Gilkey as we get set to tip things off this afternoon. The Hawks and Vikings about to square off. And before we get started, I'd like to mention this broadcast is copyrighted by the Mass Communications Department of the Communications, Humanities, and Human Services Division of Missouri Valley College for the private use of our audience. Any retransmission or use of the content without the express written consent of Missouri Valley College is prohibited. And we'd also like to thank the Marshall, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram for making this broadcast possible. Marshall, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram provides the traveling accommodations for Ken Kiava and Joe Wall when they are on the road for Missouri Valley College football and Missouri Valley College basketball events. Tonight's game features the women of Missouri Valley College against the 2-4 Rockhurst University Hawks, again out of Kansas City. This is our first Missouri Valley College women's live streaming event. We'll have men's games. We started doing them last year, and we'll have a few more coming up this year. This is the first of a couple for the women's side. And Taylor, it's kind of a big deal for the women's team to move from the field behind the press box here onto the turf of Greg Mitchell Field.
What's the difference? I mean, it's a blessing to finally get on the turf. Using the grass, it was pretty tough on a lot of people's ankles and knees. So the players did have a lot of injuries coming from the grass, and so actually finally being able to get on the turf. The players last year, there was a ACL tear. I know there was a ankle sprain last year. Of course, the ACL tear didn't happen on that grass field, but the ankle sprain did. So once we got on there and we finally get to the turf, they have a lot more confidence on the turf as far as not getting hurt. So
it's just a different feel, though, isn't it? I mean, just the back in front of the the permanent bleachers and the press box and the stands,
and not having to worry about potholes.
Not worry about potholes. All right. So starting off for Missouri Valley, I'll just go through numerically. Number 1, Alexis Haney, a junior out of Baltimore, Maryland. Number 2, Danielle Manning, a junior also out of Baltimore, Maryland. Shay Jenrich is a senior midi out of Farmington, Minnesota. Kellyanne Pozluzny is a freshman out of Edmonton, Alberta. Sydney Moyer, a sophomore attacker out of Kansas City, Missouri. Malika Booz, a senior out of Baltimore. She's a midfielder. Amy Nelson, a sophomore out of Apopka, Florida, on the attack. Jordan Anderson, a freshman midi out of Eagan, Minnesota. Paige Farewell, a freshman from Henderson, Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas. Haley Magdich is a freshman from Wentzville, Missouri. Kristen Hildreth is a junior out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And in goal tonight, April Hennon, junior out of St. Charles, Missouri. As the two teams get set in the draw control area, we will get things started, and I'll go through the Hawks starters in just a second. Both teams ready. As we are about to get underway here at Missouri Valley College. And there's our opening whistle, and draw control goes to Malika Booz and Missouri Valley College, and she is racing forward and then eventually fans it out and plays it behind the net for Rockhurst. Number 2, Madeline Gilstrap, a senior attacker out of St. Louis. There's a huge St. Louis contingent on this Rockhurst team. Maddie Scheipeter is a midi out of Webster Groves, Missouri. Number 10, Madison Nays, a senior out of Kirkwood, Missouri. Number 13, Tierney Bushbacher, a senior attacker out of St. Louis. Number 16, Betsy Gregg, a defenseman out of Minnetonka, Minnesota. Also on defense, a senior Zoe Ottoman is out of Omaha, Nebraska. As the ball gets worked around, that's Booz again up top, and she tries the left side and gets defended nicely there. Number 22, Claire Gessling, a freshman midfielder out of St. Louis. Hannah Weisbrod, I'll mention her name several times tonight. She is the Hawks' leading scorer. She's a midfielder out of St. Louis. Sam Byington, a senior defenseman out of High Ridge, Missouri. Hannah Meek is a defenseman out of Bucyrus, Kansas. Shayna Stevens, the junior attack out of Blue Springs, Missouri. And in goal, Lena Nabulsi, she is out of Lee Summit, Missouri. So those are the starters for tonight's game, both for the Vikings and for the Hawks. Hawks on control. We are a little more than a minute into our first half, and that is Booz working behind the net and now feeds it out to Sidney Moyer for the Vikings, and Moyer will go behind the net and work the left side. Vikings staying below the line right now. Sending a cutter through occasionally, but content to work it just on the outside. And a whistle and is that a yellow card? Nope, no card.
yellow card.
No card, just a little bit of an explanation. And we trigger, and that gets thrown out now to Amy Nelson. Down low in front, that's Nelson again, trying, there's a ground ball. Nelson picks it up and races back around. Rockhurst comes in 2-4 on the season. They are coached by Molly McCourt, who is in her third season at the helm for the Rockhurst Hawks. McCourt served as the head coach of the Wales Women National Lacrosse team way back in 2011, guided them to a second-place finish in the European Championship in Prague in 2015, a fifth-place finish in the World Cup in 2013, and second place in the 2012 European Championship. So a decorated lacrosse coach from overseas guiding the Hawks into this, her third season at the helm. That's Moyer working the right side. Hands it off to Jordan Anderson. Anderson, again, going behind. And she is being defended by Zoe Ottoman, that senior out of Omaha. Ball back on the ground, and Booz picks it up. And they will work the right side. Long possession for Missouri Valley. Now, they won the opening draw, and we're now 3.5 minutes into the first period, and possession has belonged to them entirely. Moyer now behind, being watched by Greg. Now on the left side, that's up top for Nelson. Nelson gets checked, and there's a turnover, and it is picked up by number 26, that's Weisbrod. Now left side for Bushbacher. Working it right in front, a shot just wide by Natalie Washington. Number, it was like 23. Nope, that was 26. Sorry, that's my fault. That's Weisbrod. Weisbrod.
Now here it looks like they stepped into the goalie's crease. So that's what happened. That's why goalie has ball now.
And they turned it over.
Yes.
And kind of a slow lob pass from Hannon. And the Vikings will try to work it ahead and turn it over. Yeah, there's a great hip check, but that's not what happens in women's lacrosse. And hockey, fantastic. And women's lacrosse, not so much. And that was Shayna Stevens who got dumped on the play, and the ball goes out of bounds. And it's a turnover back to Valley, and that's Manning who will bring it in. Manning ahead now to Jenrich. Jenrich reverses, has two people on her. Boy, the Hawks are kind of everywhere. She'll get around, crosses midfield, but loses the ball. It's on the ground, and it is picked up by Nace. Nace kind of over the shoulder pass. Booz knocked it away. It's on the ground. That's tipped up by Anderson, but the ball is going to belong and stay with the Hawks as they reset. No score, 6 minutes in, and that ball's back on the ground, but it will stay with the Hawks.
Called a cross check on Booz, making her go 4 yards behind.
And now the Hawks run their offense behind. And there's a play right in front, and a shot, and a save. Hannon didn't know where it was. The shot came from Nays right on the doorstep. Hennon made the block and kind of looked behind her, which, again, I'm a hockey guy. I'll just admit it right off the bat. You look behind you, that's a cardinal sin. You think it got through. Couldn't find it right away. No one really reacted, and it was right in front of her. She picked it up and gets it out, but the Valley Vikings cannot clear. Here comes the Hawks on attack and a wayward pass that Gessling couldn't handle, and the ball gets turned over to Valley as Gessling and the ref are going to have a small conversation about what just happened.
They called an empty check. That's what that is. So if you don't have the ball, you cannot check the other person's stick. So before anybody had possession, she checked the stick to knock it out, and you have to make sure you have possession. Somebody has to have possession before checking.
And I mentioned I'm a hockey person. I'm also a big men's lacrosse fan, and the rules between men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse are vastly different. And so there are a lot of nuances of the game, checking among them, that Taylor is going to help us out with this evening. So Valley with the ball, and it's back on the ground. Booz, no, that was Manning, I believe, who couldn't pick it up. And now that's Haney with it. Nice little reverse pivot, little spinorama. But the ball gets dropped, and we will reset. Players move behind, and Haney goes. And Valley is moving it back into the attack zone. On the left side, and now there's a little pass to Booz. That was Weisbrod who gave a little bit of defense. And that is Weisbrod on Booz right now. Booz, the leading scorer for Missouri Valley, 5 goals, 2 assists on the game so far this season. As that's Moyer, who could not maintain control and is picked up by Byington for Rockhurst. Rockhurst moving it ahead. That's Madison Nays. And another whistle. And Nays will start it off. Players clearing the area, and a whistle, and we're playing once again. Moyer tried to push out of bounds, couldn't do it. There's a pass from Nays, gets knocked down in front, and eventually gets picked up behind to the right of the goal by Gilstrap. Gilstrap signaling, and Rockhurst fans out the offense. That's Gilstrap working now left side for Bushbacher. Bushbacher looking for a lane, can't find one, works it up top to Scheipeter. Now working right side. Behind the net. That is number 16, Betsy Gregg. Try the right side, working around the crease. Pass right in front. That was Bushbacher who was there. Couldn't hang on to it. The pass was loose for a second. And
looks like a push call.
Push call, yep. Mm-hmm. And so now they're going to clear some space and a free run for Rockhurst. And I can't see the number right off. It looks like number 19. No, not 19. That is 19. That is Lily Molina, who's a junior out of St. Louis. And here she comes, and the shot and a save by Hennett and a whistle. And nope, they're going to make another run at it. Looks like Hildreth had an illegal check. And here we go again, outside the 8-meter arc. Another whistle.
They're calling shooting space.
So shooting space violations on back-to-back plays. And it's a third attempt for the Hawks from just outside the 8-meter arc.
This puts a lot of pressure on the goalie. To get shooting space, it means they didn't follow their stick in. All right.
And a goal, and that is Lily Molina, and Rockhurst takes a 1-0 lead with 19:09 to play here in the first half. So, you mentioned that it puts a lot of pressure. There's really not a whole lot that Hennon can do in that regard. It's basically just reacting to the shot. The shot was at her feet. Those nets, I imagine you're going to basically guard against the top shelf. To dip them down would take some effort, and it's really difficult, I would guess.
All right, especially with Hennon coming off an injury this year. She had the ACL tear last year, so her getting mobile again, and she's been pretty tough for her, but she's getting through it. So that one-on-one shot is a hard shot for any goalie to defend.
As a defense person in that regard, you're basically trying to climb in and get the sticks in the way so the follow-through at least gets checked a little bit, correct, and try to slow the shot down?
Correct, correct.
All right, so to the draw control circle now as Booz and Nicole Twardowski go at it, and Valley wins the draw. Booz now 2 for 2 for that, and now the Vikings will set up shop as Nelson is getting chased around by Ottoman. And they'll work now the left side. And up top for Magdich, now right side. Trying to cut in, can't. Ooh, I try to make a pass, and a good stick check there by the Hawks. Valley maintains control. Another stick check. That's Weisbrod on it. And a whistle. And the ball will go to Rockhurst. Weisbrod now in the middle of the field. And that's Stevens. Stevens running forward and almost running free. Getting defense, shot, bounced it. It goes wide. I don't believe Hennon got anything on it. Good speed and a good push right up the gut from Shayna Stevens, the junior out of Blue Springs. Rockhurst now left of the net. In front, there's a cut. Weisbrod couldn't hang on to it, and it gets turned over to Valley. So maybe a little handcuff in the pass for Hannah Weisbrod, who I mentioned is the leading scorer for the Hawks in 6 games, 14 goals on 29 shots on the season coming in. So Rockhurst with it inside the 12-meter arc. Now we'll dance it back out, and that is Stevens. Stevens will work it around and play up top. Now we'll go to the left side, and players will cut through that 8-meter arc. There's a shot and a whistle before the shot. No goal. It did go in. It got by Hennon, and but the whistle was before, and she'll get a run at it. Weisbrod will get a run at it. There's the trigger, the shot, and a save by Hennon. Nice reaction by Hennon on the Hawks' leading scorer. Rockhurst, though, still on the attack. And there's a check, and here come the Hawks again with a free run from outside the 8-meter arc. There's a shot. Try it again to go down, shooting low. Were the Hawks, but that shot was wide. And that's Gilstrap now behind the net, and she's being watched by Hildreth. Hildreth now to Twardowski up top to Weisbrod. Weisbrod hands it to, that's Lily Molina, the goal scorer. They'll go right side now for Stevens. Stevens puts it in, and it's a goal. So Shayna Stevens, the junior attacker from Blue Springs, makes it a 2-0 game with 15:41. And Taylor, what happened there?
Looks like what happened there, we didn't get they didn't get a fast enough slide in the 8. So what happens there, if you can't get the slide fast enough, stick didn't get there. If you don't get the stick there, you can't slide anyway, or it's going to be a turnover. They get another open shot. So you got to have quick reaction time, everybody on the field, especially on defense, before you even get to the goalie.
And so those infractions inside the 8-meter arc, and Rockhurst has scored twice on those free runs as action now moves back to the draw control area. It's the equivalent of a face-off, but it's not called a face-off, and Rockhurst wins this one as number 6, Maddie Scheipeter, a sophomore from Webster Groves, takes it into the zone, and Rockhurst will set up shop behind the net. That's Gilstrap. Now working right side. Into the middle is a shot. Oh, Hennon a save. The ball bounced out of her net, and it was picked up by Jenrich, who had it hacked out of her cross. And Valley will trigger once again. Into the offensive zone is Pozluzny. Right side now behind the net. High pass for Nelson. Nelson behind, and a whistle from behind the play.
So the call right now is an offsides call, but what happened was she went back before he called, and he caught her going back. So that's
Who's
a turnover.
Oh, so
Turnover
Valley was
on
offsides.
Valley. Valley was offsides.
So
that's just communication right there.
Here come the Hawks. That's Nays on the right side being watched by Hildreth. Behind the net, Gilstrap. Gilstrap doing a little wraparound, and Hennon is there. Corrals that one in the big butterfly net and makes the save. So for all the attack zone pressure that Valley had to open the game, the field is kind of tilted from right to left for the second half, and there's a pass that Hennon didn't get that was kind of ended up in no man's land, and Gilstrap was there to pick it up for the Hawks, who are back on the attack. It really hasn't left this end of the zone for the last 10 minutes or so. And Rockhurst has had several quality chances and several quality shots. And there's another one, and that is Maddie Scheipeter, who gets the Rockhurst the 3-0 lead with 13-17 to play in the first half. So 3 different scores for Rockhurst here in the first half. Molina at 19:09, Stevens at 15:41, now 13-17. That's Scheipeter, and the Hawks have a 3-0 lead on the Vikings. Scheipeter, for Scheipeter, that is her 9th goal. Came in with 8. And to the draw control area. And we play once again, ball in the air, tipped on the ground. And a foul on Byington, so Valley will get it and promptly turn it over. I imagine the turnovers are going to be an area to be addressed at halftime. Here come the Hawks once again. Stevens, nice move, and looks like she got chopped in the head. And is that, I guess, number 8 Booze is going to go off for a penalty. The women don't wear helmets. They wear nothing but goggles, so any contact to the head, even the slightest infraction, is an immediate penalty. Booze knew it right away. And ran off. So Valley will be shorthanded. And so what has been a tilted field becomes even more tilted as Stevens' shot bounces wide and up over the net. But Gilstrap is there, and the Hawks maintain possession. There's a pass right in front, too high for Gessling on the ground. And Manning trying to run it down, still can't get it. And it stays with the Hawks. Opportunities for Valley, but can't take advantage of them. And right now, it can't get out of the defensive end. As there's a boy, that was Madison Nays who just came charging on. Really, no one slid to defend. It was an open rush. Her attempt to stuff it in top shelf was a little too high, and it goes long, but the Hawks maintain, and that's Gilstrap with it now working up top on the left side of the net to Weisbrod. Weisbrod trying to split a double, doesn't. Puts a shot out. That hit the post. Weisbrod hit the post. There's another shot and a score. Wide open in the middle of the field was Molina for her second goal of the game. Lily Molina, the junior out of St. Louis. And it's now 4-0 Rockhurst over Missouri Valley. Good little play for Rockhurst as two defensemen slid over and left Molina wide open right in front of the net. And we're going to get a timeout from Missouri Valley with 11:41 to play. So Molina with her second goal. She came into this game with 4 goals, so she's advanced that quite a bit. And again, since the opening minutes, Taylor, it's been all Rockhurst in the offensive area.
That is right. It has been all offense in the offensive or on the field, period. They started off really well, as Valley started off really well, holding the ball down on offense in the opening minutes. But once they get some turnovers, it looks like they have to pay the price.
And, Valley controlled the opening draw and then went into the offensive zone. Really not a lot of chances. I don't think they even got a shot off for all that possession time to open the game. And since then, it's been quality chance after quality chance after quality chance for the Hawks in the Rockhurst offensive end. And Valley has been playing on the defensive the bulk of the back half of this period. 11:41 remains. Again, it's a timeout for Valley. 4-0 the score for the Hawks over the Vikings right now. So Missouri Valley coming in. Well, I'll go through their schedule. I knew I was going to do that. So Rockhurst tonight for Missouri Valley, and then a few conference games on the slate. First, Benedictine College on March 22nd. That's next Wednesday. Then the 25th, the Saturday, they're at Missouri Baptist. At Clark on the 29th. There was a game added, correct?
There was a game changed. It looks like Lindenwood Belleville will now be home instead of away. That was what the change was.
So on April 8th, University of St. Mary out of Kansas will be here at Greg Mitchell Field. April 9th at here at Lindenwood Belleville, against Lindenwood Belleville. The 12th at Midland, and then the senior day game against Ottawa University out of the KCAC, and that game will be on moval.edu as part of our live stream effort. And as part of a senior day doubleheader, we'll have both the men's and women's games on tax day, traditional tax day, April 15th, later on the season. So we get set to start up again. 11:41 remains, first half, 4-0 Hawks. And the draw again, Weisbrod against Malika Booz for Valley. And they get set. And there's the draw. Nope. Someone moved early. And Weisbrod moved early. Ball goes to the Vikings. Here's Booz racing ahead. Valley believes still without a shot, and Booz curls off left, and Valley will try to reset and run an offense. Up top now, that's J.C. Willison, a freshman from St. Louis. A lot of St. Louisans on the field today. And there's another turnover for Valley. Just haven't been able to maintain any offensive possession. And they're going to get Haney there for a foul and reset. Number of turnovers. There's a shot that goes wide on the ground, and the Hawks will maintain. Gilstrap will bring it in. And we're underway again. She's being watched by Hildreth. Right wing now for Bushbacher. Up top, Weisbrod. Weisbrod will charge that left side. There's a nice pass in the middle. Wasn't corralled cleanly by Bushbacher. And is that a 3-second call?
I don't think that was a 3-second call at all. Let's see. Looks like an empty check.
The referees are having a discussion across the field. And we are set to start again.
See that
Right
there
wing,
is good
there's a nice
defense.
cut and a shot and a score by Nicole Twardarski, a sophomore from Colorado, and it's now 5-0. And Taylor, you were saying?
Well, I was going to say before the goal was scored, it was good defense. They slid over right in time, making the girl curl out on the 8-meter shot. Usually if they can get them to stop before even getting a chance to even aim at the goal, that's a great stop. But they moved quickly, had good passes on for the Hawks, getting them the crease roll that they wanted to look at.
And it was a nice cutting move by number 12, Twardowski, on the shot. The looks like it was Bacher, I believe, who got the assist on that. So 5-0 now for Rockhurst with 9:58 to play in the first half. First 10 minutes were scoreless. And since then, it's been an onslaught by Rockhurst. 2 goals from Molina and goals apiece by Steven Scheipeter and now Twardowski. And control goes to Valley. And a whistle behind. It looked like it was going to be an odd man rush. And they're bringing it back, and everyone's got to back up a few steps. Actually, that whistle, that works out pretty well for Rockhurst. There's 1 blue shirt back and 4 white shirts up as she's making the charge. The pass is not fielded cleanly by Moyer. And it's another turnover.
Those are the passes you got to catch. Those when you got that odd man out, that's the most important pass. She would have had that. It would have been either got a shooting space or she would have been able to work it out, get it back, and the team would have been able to settle.
But as it is, it's a turnover, and the ball's on the ground a couple times, and Valley can't capitalize. As Gessling got it across and then maintained control, and then gets it across to Nays, who works it behind to Gilstrap. And Rockhurst will run their offense again. Weisbrod tried to cut and was cut off nicely by, looked like Genrich. Stevens with it. Going to run the right side. There's a shot. Hennon saw it all the way and made the save. Hennon's been busy. And there's a pass that looks like it's a little bit wild. Out to no one's on the ground. People on the ground now as Rachel Dahl and J.C. Willison both spilled. But the ball is going to go back to Rockhurst. Long lob pass forward. And 3-on-3 for the Hawks. They'll work it behind the net and set everything up as 2 cutters now back off and retreat outside the 8-meter arc. Gilstrap now left side to Gessling. Gessling to Weisbrod. Working around now, that's Bushbacher. Bushbacher using a little bit of a pick from Molina. Fans it out now right. Back behind to Gilstrap. Gilstrap tried to make a charge, and that was Scheipeter who cut in, but was watched nicely by Valley. There's a like a slash. On Paige Farewell, freshman out of Henderson, Nevada.
No, it looks like they called it on Jenrich. That happens a lot.
There's a shot and a score, and I think Hennon wants that one back. Hennon, I believe, wants that one back. As it is, the goal's by Claire Gessling, freshman midfielder out of St. Louis, and with 6:45 to play, it's now 6-0 Rockhurst, as Gessling just kind of flung the ball at the net. Hennon, I think, thought she was going to catch it, and then came up empty, and the ball ended up behind her. So 6-0 is the score. 6:45 to play in the first half. Gessling with the goal, and Gessling came in with 2 goals and on the season on 5 shots. So it's been an offensive showcase in the first half for Rockhurst, who, by the way, was pretty well represented in the stands below us. A lot of Rockhurst blue sitting below us. So it's nice to see the folks from Kansas City in about an hour and a half away make the trek as the ball's on the ground. Moyer trying to chase it, can't scoop it up, and a little bit of croquet action, but the Hawks come away with it. And so the last several trips into the offensive end for Valley have ended disastrously. Haven't really maintained any possession time whatsoever. And here comes Rockhurst once again. There's a shot off the post. That one springs well out. And Manning, nope, that's not Manning. That's Alexis Haney, who couldn't scoop it up. And finally Valley does. And that gets lost out. Oh, a spill by Bushbacher, which looked far worse than I guess it actually was, because she hopped up right away. But here come the Hawks once again. And that's going to be a push on Farewell. A little aggressive with the cross check. And now the referee's directing traffic, and Manning is just, where do I need to go? So Manning gets positioned properly. And here comes another attempt. Now, actually, I fanned this one out. That's Molina with it. Molina, 25 on the roster, wearing 19. He's changed numbers. And Shai Peter took a spill. And the Hawks will maintain possession and trigger once again from outside that 8-meter arc.
Valley's putting a lot of pressure on their goalie with these cross checks. They got to slow it down, give her a break, slow the ball down, keep it on one side so she can get her head back together. There's a lot of mental going on in this game for the goalie, I'm sure.
Hennon's made a number of saves, but 3 or 4 have also gone off the post, and 6 have gotten by. Now 7 have gotten by, and a whistle. So that won't count. But it's basically like a practice shot at this point. If you can go low to that stick side, or low to the net side, I guess I should say, of the stick. The Hawks have tried it over and over and over again. Many have gotten through. So here comes the whistle. Here comes the charge, the shot, and that was a slow bouncer. But Shai Peter gets it home, and with 4:47 remaining, we're talking about a 7-0 lead for Rockhurst. That's Maddie Shai Peter, sophomore at Webster Groves, and that is her second goal of the evening. 7-0 Rockhurst. So if you're on the sidelines and listening to Coach Lindsay Ingram, what message does she have pretty much going forward to the second half? I imagine the first one has got to be maintain offensive possession.
maintain offensive possession. Turnovers are leading into scores. Her biggest thing are turnovers. So once their turnovers, like ground ball, leads into a girl going all the way down the field, down the middle, to scoring on Hannon. So you got to make sure these turnovers are cut in half and a fourth.
It basically eliminate the turnovers.
Pretty much.
Limit the turnovers and maintain some kind of presence in the offensive area. It was impressive the first part as Booz wins the draw. This time it was against Nicole Twardowski. And Booz, there's finally a shot and a score.
That doesn't look like they counted it.
Then everyone,
Right,
Booz is celebrating. I saw it hit the net.
Right.
They're doing a stick check, and yes, it's a goal.
Right,
No one,
okay,
there
sounds
was
good.
no signal from the referees, and so with 4:34 to play, Missouri Valley finally gets a tally, and for Malika Booz, that is her 6th goal of the season. She took draw control, ran forward, fired the shot. That's the first time she's really made an attack after running forward. Every time she's won the draw, she's gone forward but kind of peeled off. That's the first attack that she's made and the first shot that she's taken.
Right, and I want to know why that's been her first attack. She's usually really good at outrunning a lot of people. She's pretty fast on the field. Maybe I'm trying to decide if it's that left that's her weakness, so she's scared of that left. She's got to get over that. Once she gets over that, ain't no telling what she's going to do.
And a whistle on the draw. Booz has her arms extended like she doesn't understand what she did. We're going to, okay, redraw. Ball flung into the Valley zone. Valley bodies go flying everywhere. Two Vikings collide, and that is Paige Farewell, who's hobbling around a little bit. She ran into, I think it was Kristen Hildreth. It looked like it was a knee-to-knee collision.
Looks like she's going to walk
She's
that off.
She's going to try to walk it off. I'd say rub some dirt on it, but the closest dirt's on the far side of the field. I mean, that's the old adage I had growing up. Rub some dirt on it. You'll be just fine. 4:27 to play, first half. 7-1 Hawks. And they will get the ball and make a rush once again. There's a pass. It's wide for Gilstrap. And it's going to go over to Missouri Valley. Jenrich, the senior out of Farmington, Minnesota. There's a good Farmington, Minnesota contingent on the men's side as a pass to Hennon that she – there's just been a lot, I mean, to my eyes, a lot of drops. There's a pass that's deflected and picked up that almost don't need to – I mean, it's almost inexplicable the drops that have been made by Missouri Valley. Hawks with control. That's Nays on that right wing side. Now gets it out top for Weisbrod. And a whistle.
Looks like a cross check.
Once again, the Valley cross check's going to give Rockhurst a free run. Hannon set. Weisbrod shot and a score. Weisbrod once again gets it home. And the Hawks extend the lead to 8-1 with 3:33 to play. And a cross check inside the 8-meter arc sets up a run for the Hawks. And it's just almost at that point, it's easy pickings. So
defense has to tighten up.
Go ahead.
I mean, defense has to tighten up. Offense has to remain control of the ball. It's the turnovers that's really killing Valley right now. It looks like once they get a turnover, Hawks are really exposing them for it. So
8-1 the score. And the draw control area, and the ball's up. Booz. took a whack at it. They call it unsafe.
Called a hold.
They call it a hold. So ball goes to Rockhurst. And they'll now work it forward as Shy Peter to Gilstrap. Behind. Crowd chanting defense. Valley's been on the defensive, with the exception of a few minutes to open, the bulk of the first half, as Bushbacher made a little charge and then backed off. Here comes Molina now. Molina gets doubled. And another cross check and another free run. There's a shot, and it's in. Another goal for Rockhurst as Molina scores. That's the hat trick for her. 2:38 to go. A first half hat trick for Lily Molina, the junior attacker out of St. Louis. And she has a third of Rockhurst goals. It's 9-1 with 2:38 to play in the first half. So Booz and Twardowski, who's a sophomore out of Colorado, Malika Booz, senior out of Baltimore, in the draw control area. So again, 2:38, Molina, her third, extends the Hawk lead. Ball on the ground, and the ball will go to Valley. I heard white ball from the ref, and looks like Fairwell's going to have it. And Valley moves, tries to move into the offensive zone. A lot of whistles in this first half. Farewell to start. Two, and again the ball's on the ground, and it's immediately picked up by Rockhurst. Just haven't been able to maintain control.
The infamous cross check is what's getting them in trouble this game.
Hawks to start. And there's a rare mishandle from the Hawks as Tierney Bushbacher couldn't handle it. And here comes some offensive presence for Valley as Moyer takes it behind the net. She's a sophomore out of Kansas City. Now they'll work it from behind to the left side. Up top. Rockhurst defense getting into the game. She splits a double team. Ball comes free, not quite picked up. Still loose behind the net. But Rockhurst, it's a 50-50 ball. Rockhurst wins the race to it. And they'll get it ahead. A nice little pass from Sam Byington to Bushbacher. And now Rockhurst will get it into the offensive end. Here comes Shy Peter. Shy Peter kind of runs into a wall of white shirts, and she'll bring it back out. We are less than 30 seconds to the end of the first half. Gilstrap behind as she gets watched. Looking for a cutter, gets it back up top. And Bushbacher fans out to the right side. Booz with a nice stick check. Knocks it down, picks it up. 3 on the clock, 2-1. The half's going to end with just the one goal for Valley. Shayna Stevens did a nice job of not allowing even a desperation heave from Booz. So as the first half ends, It's all Hawks so far. 9-1 the score. We'll be back with about 2 minutes to go in halftime. We'll go through some first half stats. There's 10 on the clock right now. So we'll be back in about 8 minutes. You're listening to Missouri Valley College Women's Lacrosse on the Viking Sports Network. It's halftime at Greg Mitchell Field inside Volney C. Ashford Stadium on the campus of Missouri Valley College. 9-1 is our score. The Rockhurst Hawks out of Kansas City on top of Missouri Valley College. We'll go through some halftime stats. And I'll get a little bit of analysis from Taylor Gilkey here in a second. Big story, offensive possession time for Rockhurst. And then just the fact they utterly dominated both the scoreboard and time of possession. Rockhurst shots in that first period outshot the Vikings 24-2. When Malika Booth scored her goal with 4:34, I commented that was the only shot I can remember. The other shot came from Amy Nelson, and I still can't remember when her shot was. If it was any time, it was early on when the Vikings held the ball in the Hawk end for the first 3.5, 4 minutes of the first half. But it was all Rockhurst after that. Ground balls, Rockhurst 18-16 advantage in that first half. Valley actually had the advantage in terms of draw controls, 6-5 in the first half. Clears, Rockhurst was 9 of 9. Valley was 2 of 9. Free position shots by period, Rockhurst 2 of 5. Valley did not get even one. Goal scores, as I run through them. 1903, Rockhurst, Lily Molina, a free position goal, made it 1-0. Shanna Stevens made it 2-0 unassisted. Lily Molina gets her second goal, make it 3-0 with an assist from Claire Gessling. Maddie Scheipeter made it 4-0 with an assist from Shanna Stevens. Nicole Twardowski from Molina made it 5-0 at 10:39. 7:14, Claire Gessling got her first, unassisted. Then Maddie Scheipeter notched her second one to make it 7-0. Hannah Weisbrod scored her first of the game on a free position shot to make it 8-0. Malika Booz put Valley on the board with 3:33 to go. But it was countered by the third goal of the period by Lily Molina, unassisted, at 2:18 to make it 9-0. So stats for the goalkeepers for Missouri Valley: April Hennon, 9 goals allowed, 6 saves. And for Lena Nabulsi for Rockhurst, 1 goal allowed and 1 save. And the 1 save again on the shot that no one can remember. So we're getting set to start the second half. And so, Taylor, some things that Valley can improve on in the second half to kind of make their way back into this game.
Well, their way back into this game is definitely on offense. They need to make sure they clean up a lot. Cleaning up in meaning catching all the passes. Those 50-50 balls got to be theirs. Getting more shots on goal, making their goalie get a little bit nervous, put a little more pressure on that goalie, get her moving. I mean, the 50-50 balls are probably the biggest things, and catching those passes that are getting to them, especially the easy passes that are clear. So hustling to that ball, making sure that the first one's there. Being careful on that cross-check, letting them get the free possession shot or the open shot one-on-one with their goalie. That's a big deal as well.
As the graphic was up already, so Jesus, you don't need to put it back up, but I would remind people of this action in the second half is there's a shot that was blocked by Hannon and a whistle behind the play a little bit. But the action here in the second half is brought to you by Marshall Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, who makes the away games possible that Ken Chiava and Joe All do for men's football, and for men's and women's basketball during that part of the season. So we wish to thank them. And also want to remind people this broadcast is copyrighted by the Mass Communications Department of the Communications, Humanities, and Human Services Division of Missouri Valley College for the private use of our audience. Any retransmission or other use of the content without the express written consent of Missouri Valley College is prohibited. The referees are having a discussion about what it is they are seeing. Maybe they're discussing the express written consent of Missouri Valley College for the future use of our broadcast. 29:47 remains in the second half. We're 13 seconds into the second period with a stoppage in play, as it looks like there is a player.
Yeah, it looks like Rockhurst is a man down. They got a yellow card. So Moval has to take full advantage of this man down situation, trying to get that ball needs to get into the net. They need to make sure they take full advantage, moving the ball quickly, finding the man that's open and getting them to shoot.
That's Tierney Bushbacher who went off with the yellow. So it's now Rockhurst in the attack zone, a person down. So they're going to work shorthanded. But they're still they still have control. And now Stevens works it behind Gilstrap, being watched by Malika Booz and by Shea Genrich. Ball on the ground, but it's picked up by Stevens. Stevens loses it and looks like I thought she took a blow to the head, but the ball goes to Rockhurst, and if it was a blow to the head, then Manning would be off, but my old eyes apparently didn't see it like that. That's Weisbrod. Now runs left side. A little lob to Gilstrap, who comes out. And they're working it back out to Weisbrod. Rockhurst with an impressive offensive showing that first half. Again, came in 2 and 4. The Hawks average a little less than 10 goals per game. They've given up coming in 84 goals in the season. So in their 6 games, talking 13 goals per game-ish. So outscored for the most part, but it's been all Rockhurst, and offensive showing is a rare turnover for the Hawks. And that was Maddie Scheipeter who put it on the ground. Booz picks it up, and she's going to run now left side. A little lob in front, and good defense by the Hawks. That's Zoe Ottoman, who shut the door on Valley, and they'll kind of have to reset. Booz with it now, left wing side. And she'll direct some traffic and hold as Molina kind of steps out and watches her. Anderson tried to find a cutting Polzluzny, and play is whistled.
Oh, look at that,
and
a free shot.
Free possession for a free position chance for Valley. There's a shot and a score. Kellyanne Polzluzny, a freshman attacker out of Edmonton, Alberta, gets a second goal for Valley, and with just a little more than 2.5 minutes played, it's now a 9-2 game in favor of Rockhurst. So those free position opportunities, Valley finally gets one and takes full advantage.
Goal by number 5, Kellyanne Polzluzny.
So Polzluzny gets her first. Just the third shot by Valley. And it's 9-2. And in terms of making their way back in the second half, that's a good start. As Rockhurst wins, I'm not sure. Oh, and then bodies go flying everywhere. And the goal scorer, Polzluzny, was kind of run over by Weisbrod. And the Hawks will work it into the offensive end. Gilstrap to the right of the goal, behind it. Working that left wing side. Now fans out to the top of the arc, the 12-meter fan for Weisbrod. And a whistle.
Jewelry. I'm assuming he pointed to his ear.
So Stevens will make a wardrobe change. Yep, she's messing with her ears. And on comes number 13, Bushbacher and Valley will bring it into the zone. And another whistle. And now a small discussion. And a yellow card.
Yellow card.
And that's Maddie Scheipeter is going to run off. And so a man advantage for Valley.
Now Chris is a little fast. She might go for the goal. Nope. Let's see.
Well, jab step and a shot just high. Hildreth with a chance. It would have beaten the Bullseye, but it was high. Here's Booz. Booz on the doorstep. Booz a shot. Nice save by the Hawks netminder. Ball on the ground. Hildreth, like she tried to cover it up while on the ground. And a whistle, and the ball will go to Rockhurst. And they'll clear some space. And we're off. Hildreth made a lot of ground. And I'm not sure if she forced a wild pass or if the pass was just a little high going through, but Rockhurst maintains control nonetheless. Almost 5 minutes gone here in the second half. 9-2 the score. And Rockhurst works offensively, still a man down. As Scheipeter awaits in that penalty area. Bushbacher now right side for Nays. Nays behind the net. As though, they started to work that 12-meter arc and or 12-meter fan, and defensive pressure from Genrich, and they kind of pulled it out a little bit. Two bodies now on that right side as Tierney Bushbacher passes it ahead to Nays. Nays found a cutter coming through, and the shot, the follow-through, I think, clipped the Valley player.
Yep, got a dangerous follow-through.
Dangerous follow-through, and just on the field was Scheipeter out of that penalty box, and she's just now trotting right back off the field. And that's 2 yellows. She's
I was going
done.
to say, that's 2 yellows.
2 yellow cards for
She's out.
Scheipeter. She is now DQ'd the rest of the game. And, a pass from Janrich that was too wide for Booz, and it's a turnover for Valley. They're up a man. That's just a turnover you'd like to not see if you're a Viking. That pass is a nice little bounce pass for Weisbrod. She's plays catch with Bushbacher. A little more defensive pressure up top, and
looks like Vikings tried to send the double on and try to get the ball back quickly, but they still got that check they got to worry about.
So the check triggers the whistle, a little trap that I almost think they tried to run again off the whistle to restart. Nays working right side and behind. And so, advantage for Valley as Molina goes charging in, looking for her 4th goal of the game, but she'll hand off. And that's Gessling. Gessling, a shot and a score. Claire Gessling, freshman from St. Louis, ran in from that left side, cut right in front, and then basically shot it to the short side where she'd already been. And the lead goes to 10-2 with 22:44 to play in the second half. So Claire Gessling gets her second goal of the game. It's now 10-2. And just an opportunity lost for Missouri Valley there with Shy Peter off with her second yellow card and the advantage, and one pass, a turnover, and the rest of the possession belonged to Rockhurst. And turnovers have been the name of the game for Missouri Valley. Now officially, I guess, 3 turnovers in the first half for Missouri Valley to 1 for Rockhurst. With the number of passes and balls that end up on the ground, it seems a little dubious of a stat. But Rockhurst has been taking advantage of Valley miscues throughout the night. 22-44, 10-2 the score for Rockhurst. And
this was an unreleasable yellow card, which means she does have to take out the full time that she did get the yellow card for. So usually with a yellow card, you can either get releasable or unreleasable, which means if they score, then you can get back on, you can come back even. But this one looks like it's unreleasable. She has to serve her full time. Even though number 6 can't come back on, they're going to put it on another player.
And that is Nicole Twardowski, who is serving the remainder of that time for the double yellow on Maddie Shypeter. And Rockhurst have a person right in front, and they tried the same play. That's Gilstrap, who tried to score the same way that Gessling did just a few minutes ago. And the pass from goal to Alexis Haney kind of tied her up. She tripped over, and the ball goes back to Rockhurst. There's a shot and a save by Hennon. Gilstrap some token pressure. At this point, why not? Valley hasn't been able to show that they can pass it more than a couple times without losing control. But Booz has it now and is streaking forward, trying to show off her speed. Runs by a couple of defenders. Runs by now 3 defenders. A shot off the crossbar, off the bottom of the bar. Didn't go in. It kicks back out, and Rockhurst maintains control. That hit the front side of the bar and kicked straight back out. A very unfortunate bounce for Missouri Valley, and Malika Booz just did miss her second goal of the evening. Molina of the first half hat trick hands it off left side. That's Gilstrap. Gilstrap now to Bushbacher to Weisbrod. Weisbrod, the leading scorer for the Hawks, just 1 goal on the evening. And there's a nice play, and that finds iron as Haney comes away with it. And I believe it's going to be a legal check against the Hawks. So April Hennon was beat, but the iron unkind for the Hawks. And what's good at one end, apparently, off the iron is good on the other end as well, as offensive chances for both teams hit the piping. And no goals on that exchange for either team the last couple of minutes. Hawks to, I almost said inbound, Hawks to trigger. This is Farewell. Farewell with a shot and a score. A little more direct in the opportunity for Paige Farewell, the freshman out of Henderson, Nevada. And Valley gets its 3rd goal of the night, 19:52 to play. It's 10-3. And a little bit of a different, looks like, offensive strategy for the second half. If you get a rush, take advantage of it. That's 2 goals that have been scored like that for Valley. Farewell and Kellyanne Pozluzny, who scored similar goals here in the second half, and now a timeout's been called for on the field. So the teams head to the sidelines. We'll talk about some things that are upcoming for Missouri Valley College athletics. Went through the lacrosse schedule earlier. Women's softball will play. It's been a rough week in Missouri here. It's, weather's been iffy up until today. Today's glorious, by the way, but games against Baker and Benedictine were postponed. Softball will play Avila tomorrow at home at Lion Park, or at the Indian Hills Football in Lion Bowl. That's a 1 o'clock game. They play Baker in that made-up game from earlier this week on the 20th, and then we'll head down the road a bit to CMU on the 21st to play the Eagles there. Women's softball team 4-6 on the season and 0-2 in the heart so far on the season. Had a very productive trip over the spring break weeks when they went to Arizona to compete. Men's baseball also had a pretty good run during the spring break weeks. Their next game is going to be tomorrow also. They play Grandview up in Des Moines. That game actually will be moved to Sunday, so Iowa's still a little colder. The baseball team will play the Vikings of Grandview University in Des Moines on Sunday, and then head back on next Tuesday to play Missouri Baptist University. That'll be a 9-inning game here in Marshall. Malika Booz out of the draw control. Tries a little spinorama, and that gets defended nicely. And she'll give it to Haley Magditch, who has it knocked away from her by Hannah Weisbrod. And a whistle, and Weisbrod will start. Gilstrap with it now, left side. Runs through that 8-meter arc to the right side, and a pass it not fielded cleanly by Madison Nays, but the Hawks will maintain possession. Nays guarded by Hildreth. Now the Hawks work it to the right side. That's Lily Molina. Back left for Bushbacher. Now to Weisbrod. Weisbrod going to try that left side. 2 Vikings step out. And a whistle behind and a yellow. Is that a yellow card?
That's a flag.
That's a flag. And possession stays with the Hawks. Weisbrod fans it out, gets to Molina up top. Claire Gessling with it, feeds it behind, and tried a nifty little shot. Ball still on the ground, That was Nays, who cut from behind the net in front, tried to throw it like a left-handed over the shoulder kind of shot. And Valley again having trouble clearing the defensive end. And the Hawks will maintain possession. Weisbrod, left side, Gilstrap. Gilstrap guarded by Hildreth. Bushbacher now working against Haney, and I think Haney caught her as they blow the whistle, and a free position chance. There's a shot off the post. Rockhurst has had a number of them as the ball's loose in front and finally scooped up by Hennon. That's probably the fifth post as the ball again on the ground as Haney couldn't maintain control. Hildreth couldn't keep it under control, and once again the Hawks with it. Molina. Those 50-50 balls have been owned by the Hawks. Molina, a shot and a score. Lily Molina gets her fourth goal of the night. It's now 11-3 at 16:29. And I was going to comment a little bit, Taylor, that Valley's defense is going to be putting a little more pressure outwardly, which was leaving those charging zones for Rockhurst. And Rockhurst hadn't taken advantage other than a goal earlier this period, but that time Molina was able to charge in from the right side and shoot it past Hennon.
Right, so it looks like sound fundamental defense is what's really going to keep them out of the goal, out of the 8, keep the Hawks out of the 8 anyways. If you look, I remember Shay Genrich did really good defense, made sure she had stick between her and the man and the goal, and she had her hands up, made sure she was really big so that it pays off once you use those fundamentals you learned from the day one.
Booz from the draw control ahead, and that's fielded cleanly. And that's Sydney Moyer. Moyer try to set up shot, try to look for a cutter and a high pass. And that's Weisbrod who comes away with it. Her pass a little far, and the ball's on the ground. And just able to run with it almost, just kind of scooping it along, was Tierney Bushbacher. But Valley will get it. And that's Haney. And I think Haney was checked. And again, directing traffic. And so from the 12-meter line, Haney took a couple steps forward and will pull it back out. And another ball on the ground off a pass. Booz is able to get it. And that time it's Hannah Meek who gets whistled for the infraction. The people on defense for the Hawks haven't had their names called often or at all this afternoon. It's been an offensive showcase for Rockhurst University this evening. Haney, left side behind the now works behind the net, and there's Delpression, just drops the ball. Trying to pick it up in a battle behind. And that's a foul. I believe I believe that's Nays who had it. Nope, it was not. And wide open in front is Stevens. Stevens and Hildreth kind of combine right in front of the crease. Collide right in front of the crease. And really good transition offense for Rockhurst, but Stevens was not able to field it cleanly. Hawks do maintain possession. And Stevens to start. And Hildreth. Pressure from the backside. And almost eyes in the back of her head was Weisbrod. Hawks with it still. Weisbrod goes left. And whistles abound. That's Magich. Gets called for that infraction. So another free position chance for Rockhurst as they move Magich down. The shot, that's off the side of the net, now behind the net, on the ground. Hennon trying to scoop it up off the net. And gets it out on the ground. Valley puts it back on the ground. And a little shove from behind by Shea Genrich.
I'm not sure she didn't see her there bending down or what.
A little hi, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Check from behind. Rockhurst to start. And boy, there's just blue shirts all open on the right side. Molina right on the doorstep, a shot and a score. It was like the right side of the field was completely forgotten about. And Lily Molina gets her 5th goal of the evening. It's now 12-3 with 11:37 to go. And Stevens and Molina were all alone on the right side of the field, and not much that Hennon could do there to stop that.
See, that's where defense needs to make sure or everybody on the field needs to make sure they are all manned up. Then open people like that won't happen in the backfield.
5 goals from Lily Molina, who came into the game with 4. So quite an offensive output from her this evening. Draw control to Rockhurst. And that's Bushbacher, who ended up with control. Another charge and a shot, and 5-hole to score. And that's Aaron Salsick, who's a freshman midfielder out of St. Louis. And quick goals, 13-3. Is now the Rockhurst lead. That goal was 19 seconds after the previous Rockhurst goal, and timeout called by Missouri Valley. And Lindsey Ingram has some things to say to her team as they head off to the sideline. So 2 Rockhurst Hawks get loose in the offensive end after a restart, and then right off the draw control, rush down the field, 1 pass, and Salsick was right there, and again, not a whole lot Hennon could do.
It's usually not a whole lot a goalie can do when it's one-on-one, besides do the best that she can. Defense has got to get back. Defense has got to be manned up. And defense has got to play a lot smarter when it's coming to the checks. Ball control has to get better. These drop passes have to be eliminated. Ground balls, those 50-50 balls, have to be the Vikings. They can't take the chance anymore. It is still 11 minutes in the game, so they can at least close the gap. I still think there's a chance.
Offensive pressure will have to be the order of the day if the Vikings wish to do that. And there hasn't been a lot of it on the evening. Spurts here and there. And the chances when the Vikings have scored, all 3 were quick in terms of possession time, either off a draw or off a start. So it's a 10-goal lead with 10 minutes to play, or 11 minutes to play, for the Rockhurst Hawks as both teams now make their way back onto the field. Booz and Malika Booz, the senior out of Baltimore, and Hannah Weisbrod, senior out of St. Louis, set to square off for that draw. Loose on the ground, and it's Weisberg who picks it back up as the ball went carrying back to her. And Nays now will put it right again. That area, the pressure for the defense in the first half, they're more packed into that area, kind of chasing people through that 8-meter arc. They're really staying out this time, whether it's by the offensive design and they're manning up a little more tightly, or if it's just a defensive strategy. But Nays went cutting right in. There's just no one sliding over for Valley. Free chance and shot, and Madison Nays puts it in. And it's now a 14-3 game, and whatever was talked about during the timeout had about 40 seconds of effect. So 10:38 to go as Madison Nays gets her first of the night. The story of the night for Rockhurst has been Lily Molina. She has 5 of them, and there have been scattered goals throughout by several other Hawks. Chai Peter has a couple. Gessling has a couple. Stevens has a couple. So the scoring has been, with the exception of Molina, balanced throughout the rest of the team. And it's just been one offensive zone attack after another for Rockhurst.
Since they couldn't close that gap, now it's going to be a running clock. If they get the back to 10 and not over 10, they can stop the clock again. But right now they're working with the clock now. They're fighting the clock and the other team.
So there's 9:40, and it's going to be a running clock the rest of the way. And the ball goes out of bounds, but possession will stay with the Hawks. Hawks really, with a running clock, there's no urgency for them to do much of anything other than to work it around, kind of make Valley chase.
Exactly. So that means Valley needs to step up on defense, make them do a lot of pressure on the ball, make them pass it, get them to turn it over. That's their chance to get the ball back and take it down to the other side of the field.
And coming up with balls on the ground has been a strength of Rockhurst this evening, not so much for the Vikings, as Nays again goes through and shoots. And just like that, Madison Nays gets her first and second goal of the night, 15-3. Clock's going to, I think the official time is going to be around 8:52. Again, it's running, and Rockhurst has pulled away here in the last few minutes. Just as Valley was kind of making a small charge, the Hawks with 4 unanswered goals, and it's 15-3. Draw controls have been pretty even. That's one of the few categories Valley has held with Rockhurst, as Booz will run forward. Booz cuts toward the middle, and there's 6 blue shirts there to kind of fend her off, and they're calling a slash against. Well, that's Weisbro they call the little slash against. And Booz to start. Runs forward. Nice defensive closing of that gap by the Hawks. Moyer. And she's watched by Rachel Dahl. The ball goes left side, and another whistle. And that's a yellow
Check to the head. Looks like a stick to the head. Off the ball. Wasn't on the ball, so it was on somebody else, but they got to get off the field.
So Valley will have an advantage. It looks like Betsy Gregg, who is going off to serve for that infraction.
There needs to be a lot of ball movement right now, especially with them being a man down. A lot of ball movement, a lot of cutting, finding that open man so they can get that goal.
Moyer. Valley just had, well, it's Boos, a little spinorama. Tries to backhand a shot. It goes wide right. Moyer fighting with it, ball on the ground. And she scoops it up nicely, and that's one of the few times Valley's been able to do that this evening. A good effort there by Moyer. Now outside the 12-meter fan, gets it up top and pass not handled cleanly. And that's Magdic, but there's no pressure there. Her pass ends up on the ground. And Rockhurst does come away with it, and that is Hannah Meek, who came away with it in a small trip on the play. And here comes Meek outrunning Pozluzny up that right side. Meek still with it. Meek to Gilstrap. 5:20 and counting. It's a 15-3 Rockhurst lead. Gilstrap trying to cut, and she's going to shoot, and she goes to the wide side and scores. So Madeline Gilstrap, a senior attacker out of St. Louis, and it makes it a 16-3 game. And there's 5 minutes and a little less than 5 minutes to go in regulation. So 16-3, Gilstrap gets her first of the evening, and the offensive showcase continues. And the last several goals have been Hawks getting basically to the goal line extended, running in the middle of the field, and taking a shot at April Hennon.
All right, looks like they got their keep shooting on her low. She's got to work on that low save. The high ones, she's able to get her stick there pretty quickly, but it's that low getting her feet moving quick enough, that reaction time that's killing her.
Draw control will go to Valley. And there's 4 minutes about to go. And a pass that, again, not handled cleanly by Valley. There were 3 white shirts and 3 blue shirts in the area, and looks like it was headed for J.C. Willison, but she couldn't come up with it cleanly. And here come the Hawks, racing straight up the center of the field. Eventually they'll pull back, and that's Bushbacher who will hold as Weisbrod gets the pass to the left side. That's Gilstrap. Gilstrap going to try to run in front again. The same thing, shot, and she scores. Another goal for Madeline Gilstrap, her second of the night. And it's now 17-3. They're up by 2 full scores, and that's 5 or 6 goals in a row where the Hawks have taken it right to the doorstep of the Vikings netminder and been able to shoot it through.
That's footwork, that's communication. People got to talk, know who's got who's switching, all that kind of stuff. The basic defensive rules on any sport, you have to be able to communicate and make sure everybody is at least manned up and everybody's accounted for.
So behind the face-off, behind the draw control area, Genrich and Hildreth were having a conversation, I think, of who was possibly supposed to pick up Gilstrap there. And then Hildreth and Manning also had just a little bit of conversation about some things, and separated for the draw as that Rockhurst pass goes wide. So we're coming up on 2 minutes to play in the game. All Hawks tonight, 17-3. The story, Lily Molina, 5 of Rockhurst's 17 goals, 3 of which came in the first half. And that one's knocked away. That was a nice, actually, play. Spin, shot, that's deflected by Hannon. Rockhurst maintains. And Gessling was the Hawk player who made that effort. That's Bushbacher, who gets it back to Gessling, now up top for number 20, Aaron Salsic. The ball goes left side, and they try that run again, and that's going to be a legal check as Nicole Twardowski will get a free position chance. Defense is kind of left Hannon out to dry. There's about a minute to go. And here's the whistle and a shot, and Hannon, ooh, that almost trickled through, but it's a little bit wide, and she flags it and works it out, and Valley will try to get one more rush in the game. There's a pass ahead to Moyer. Moyer behind. There's a pass in front, and Willison couldn't catch it cleanly. He gets through her. Here's Booz. Booz looks behind her, checks the clock, 30 seconds to play. Booz using a little screen from Willison. Will give it to Willison. Willison looking for a cutter, doesn't find one. And that's Farewell. Farewell puts it on the ground. Willison picks it up. Willison now with 15 on the clock. Willison gets by and tripped.
Looks like a stop clock. He stopped the clock.
Stop the clock. Salsic got her cross between the legs of Willison. She's going to go off. They stop the clock with 8.7. So a penalty on her. And one last chance for the Vikings to notch a goal before the end of the game. And the hesitation, 5 seconds to play. And the pass ends up on the ground. And that was Rachel Dahl who was checked. And that's going to do it. Rockhurst is a 17-3 winner this evening against Missouri Valley College. Taylor, pretty dominant showing on the offensive end for the Rockhurst University Hawks.
Does look like a dominant showing. They had clean stick skills. Every pass they got looks like they caught it for the most part. They looks like they do a lot of work on catching and passing and just the fundamentals when it comes to that kind of stuff. 50-50 ground balls looks like they got the most of those. I would love to see the stats on that just to see how many they have by the end of the 0-0 on the clock. The Valley Vikings got to work on just cleaning everything up, making sure every pass is caught, especially in traffic. That's one of the biggest things that they had. Running and catching the ball in traffic was a big disaster during the game, and I can't think of a better way to say that. But cleaning up the passes will probably do a lot for the Vikings and in the future.
So once again, the star for Rockhurst tonight, number 19, Lily Molina, the junior attacker out of St. Louis, notched 5 goals, 3 of them in the first half, as part of Rockhurst's 17-3 victory against Missouri Valley College. This broadcast was copyrighted by the Mass Communications Department of the Communications, Humanities, and Human Services Division of Missouri Valley College for the private use of our audience. Any retransmission or other use of the content of the broadcast with the express written consent of Missouri Valley College is prohibited. One final time, a big thanks to the folks at Marshall, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram for providing transportation to all the road games that Ken Chiava and Joe All do through the course of the fall and winter. For Jesus Zilli, our director, for Taylor Gilkey, I'm Chaz Meddy. Thanks for watching on moval.edu. Good night from Marshall.